Raise your hand if you've ever been in the middle of your opening sales pitch and your customer says, "Hey, look, I've gotten a couple of quotes already, so just skip ahead in numbers. It's fine." Right here. This can frustrate even the most seasoned of solar sales reps because it likely means that your customers can be checked out on any of the value we're trying to build in your company and won't listen to a thing you say before you get to the numbers. It can be really frustrating, but there's a reason that customers say this, and it's because a lot of solar providers follow the same general path and really don't say much anything different than one another. So customers know, and just get checked out and getting a whole bunch of quotes becomes a chore. Well, we at Solar Insure are here to help with that and help you figure out a way to stand out from the crowd and be able to build the proper value. So let's take a look at the steps of the process and where you can add extra value so your customers pay attention to what you're saying. Now, a lot of solar providers are going to use the same general path to get to the end of their quote. You introduce yourself and the company, you review or beat up the bill, talk about the site survey, a little bit of the system design you're going to be looking at, maybe quickly touch on the products, and then get in the numbers where you're probably only going to pitch one option and it's likely whatever the sales rep is going to get paid the most on. If you are the first person to have given them the quote, following this path is really not going to help you stand out from the crowd at all. So how do you stand out from the crowd? Well, it's all in the way you position yourself in talking with the homeowner and the amount of information you're going to provide. So let's take a look at the anatomy and go step by step and give you some pro tips. First off is going to be the introduction. Now, a standout solar provider is going to utilize this time not as a quick intro, but to ask deep, open-ended, insightful questions to really get into the deep and nitty-gritty of what that customer wants. You can talk about their goals, their desired outcomes, their challenges, their financial situation, everything that's going to give you the information you need to find them a good solution. Once you get to the actual meeting, you can utilize that information to frame your conversation around those problems and how the solutions that you're going to be offering can help solve those specific problems. This helps approach you being on the same side of the table as your customer rather than somebody who's just showing up to push them a product and get out the door. You can work with them towards solutions that meet their desired goals. Your approach for this area is ask insightful questions to clearly understand the customer's perspective, establish clear goals for the project, and emphasize long-term success metrics. Now, in part of your intro, you're also going to want to give a little background on your company and yourself. Talk about your history in solar, your history in the area they're working with, how many projects that you've done, anything that's going to give some context about your company. If you also work in multiple areas like roofing, commercial solar, HVAC, those can be helpful things to show as the overall health and financial stability of your company. A really good way that I used to use to show some credibility was to point out installs that would be nearby my prospective customer. If they can drive by and see the quality of our work, that's going to say way more than pictures ever could. Your pro tips for this area are to emphasize your ability to tailor solutions to your customers' needs and to shift their mindset of you from somebody who's there to push a product to someone who's there to offer a solution. Now, beating up the electric bill is a vital part of the solar pitch process because it's a place where you clearly define the problem the customer is being faced and establish a goal. It's really important you take time to talk about the bill and all the implications that solar and the market is going to have on this, because if the customer doesn't agree that the impacts you're pointing out are impactful enough for them to solve that problem, it's going to be a waste of both of your time. A really great way to build credibility here is that if the fit isn't there, the solutions you have to offer are not going to fit the customer's needs, you can walk away from that. Because it's likely that if they don't agree that your problems are impactful to them, you're probably not going to get anything out of this conversation anyway. Standout providers are going to use this time to talk about annual consumption, costs, utility escalations, peak time rates, the impact of net metering policies, if there are any, maybe any incentives that applies to utilities, anything along those lines. We previously made a video about utility rate increases that we'll link here as well in the video description. You can look at for some historical data. Your pro tip here is to clearly define and agree upon the problems that your project is going to solve and evaluate if the solutions that you have are going to fit your customers' needs. The site survey is a great place to have really open and honest conversations with your customers. In a perfect world, every roof was based directly south and there'd be no shade at all, but we don't live in a perfect world. So this is a great time to be able to talk through the site survey with your customer and use some of the advanced tools that may be in your modeling software. Some places have 3D mapping or LiDAR, and you can really give the customer a good look at what this site survey is going to look like, any coverage, and where they may be able to help there, maybe trimming some trees or where they can place panels. Now, if you're selling ownership type deals like cash and financing, standout providers are going to take some time to really describe their customers why they're using the most efficient roof planes possible. Of course, we know we don't want to use inefficient shaded or north-facing roof planes, But customers could really get stuck in their head that I want a 100% offset idea. Now, if you really are a standout provider, you can talk through them the financial metrics. It's not always going to make sense to add additional panels to push you up to 100% because it's going to push your payback way far out. But maybe the customer really wants that, so they can go through it. But clearly explaining that helps build credibility to you. Also super important to review the site survey design before you get there. I've seen way too many times where people will jam modules into a roof plane that aren't going to fit, or have modules hanging over the side of a roof. It makes you look bad, and nothing will kill your credibility faster than selling an offset and a design to somebody only for it to change by the time you come to install, and now the customer's upset because they're not getting what they paid for. Your pro tips here are to have open, transparent conversations about the site survey and design, highlight how the solution you're offering is going to achieve your shared goal, and provide value with a realistic design. Talking about your products being offered is a place that some people may tell you to skip over, but I'm going to tell you it's a really important piece of the puzzle for educating your homeowners. Homeowners and consumers are more educated today than ever, so they have the ability to go look stuff up online, and you want to make sure the narrative that you're telling and showing them is the one that's going to solve their problems. Maybe this customer really wants premium top-end equipment. Maybe they really want the best bang for their buck. If you don't mention any of the equipment, you can't show them that you're achieving the goals that they want to. So you have to make sure to talk about that. You also have to talk about warranties with equipment, especially on premium equipment or equipment that's going to have extended manufacturer warranties. Talking about those warranties provides extra peace of mind. You can also provide even top-level peace of mind if you include Solar Insure's SI30 Total or SI30 Solar as part of your project. Gives them longer than even manufacturer warranties and covers labor costs. Your pro tips here are to help the customer make an informed decision by providing options with clear values, and establish what long-term success looks like and how solutions you're offering help them get there. Now, the numbers are the meat and potatoes of your project and likely what the customer is going to care the most about. But if you follow the advice we've given so far, your customer is already going to start to see the value in you working with you specifically, so you can utilize this to finalize the fit and make sure you give them the right option. Customers like to have options. If you give them only one option here, they're going to feel like you're making the decision for them. And psychology tells us people like to have the decision in their own hands. So a standout provider is going to offer a number of different options that are all going to meet their needs. You can then utilize this time as approaching your conversation with the same side as your customer, walking them into the proper decision that's going to best suit their situation. Approaching the numbers in this situation helps you guide the decision-making process rather than using high-pressure, pushy, get-to-yes sales tactics. Your pro tips here are to show options with clear value propositions and how they're aligned to your customer's goals. Avoid high-pressure, pushy sales tactics, and agree on the fit before trying to push the sale forward. Now, standout solar providers are going to follow that above formula, but they're also going to talk about a few other things, namely timeline and expectations. You have to build the proper timeline because nothing will kill your credibility more than saying, we get this done in 90 to 120 days, and then 6 months later, they're still waiting on getting this installed. So clearly define that timeline and what success metrics and milestones look like along the way. If you have other people involved in this as well, like project managers, loop them in to show who you're going to be talking to, when the customer needs to talk to them, and even schedule some follow-up time so you can talk about those key milestones. Doing this helps build your rapport and credibility, and in those times, you may also get able to keep some business. If that customer didn't want to batter in the front end, but then thought about it and wanted to, they are probably more likely to do it with you when you check in, as opposed to wait till after the project's installed and go talk to somebody else. Of course, service is also going to be the biggest place to not shy away from. Service is a place that a lot of people avoid, but the standout solar provider is going to talk about and be transparent with service costs. The biggest mistake that the solar industry has ever gotten into is adopting two phrases. Number one, it's set it and forget it. And number two, this has no moving parts. Look, the reality is these are 30 plus year products. They are going to need service at some time. And while you may not like the idea of putting the extra costs in somebody's head, your customer's going to be much more thankful for it because now they can budget for that kind of thing going into it and are not hit with surprise repair costs down the road. A standout provider is going to talk about this, clearly build those expectations, and their customers are going to be thankful for it. Of course, you can avoid all of that as well if you include Solar Insure's SI30 Total or SI30 Solar as part of your installation, because those products do cover labor costs as well, so there's no surprise cost for your homeowners. Becoming a trusted advisor takes time and dedicated effort to do, but leads to amazing things for your business. If you position yourself from a top to bottom as the same side of the table as your customer offering solutions, it's going to bring you more loyal and happy customers over time, and your business is going to be better for it. Thanks for watching the video. Make sure to check the video description for a link to the full article discussing all of these tips. And if you liked the video, found it helpful, make sure to like the video. Thanks for watching.